You're listening to The Coffee Hour. I'm Andy Bates.
I'm Sarah Gulseth.
We are continuing our conversation in the Set Apart to Serve series today. We're going to be talking about Lutheran education, Lutheran teachers in just a moment. Thanks to Concordia University, Wisconsin for your support of the Coffee Hour. Find out more about Concordia University, Wisconsin at cune.edu.
Live uncommon.
Today, we head to Concordia University, Nebraska in Seward, Nebraska. Our guest, Dr. Shanna Opfer, Associate Professor of Education and Elementary Education Director for Concordia University, Nebraska. Dr. Opfer, welcome to the Coffee Hour.
Hello, it's great to be here. Thank you.
Also joining us today, Macy Gebhardt, Elementary Education student at Concordia University, Nebraska. Macy, welcome to the Coffee Hour.
Hi, thank you. Thanks for having me.
So, Dr. Opfer, let's start with you. Tell us about what led you to this vocation of forming Lutheran teachers for the next generation.
Absolutely. So I grew up in a family of LCMS church workers. My dad was a principal and my mom was a teacher. I always knew I wanted to work with kids, but I really wasn't sure I wanted to teach until I started teaching Sunday school as a senior in high school. And at that point, it became clear that, sharing my faith and teaching children is really what I wanted to do. And that's when I set out for Concordia, Nebraska. And so I was here as a student and had the chance to get degrees in elementary and special ed and also get my LTD. And my plan was always to go teach in a Lutheran school in grades 4 or 5. When I graduated, though, I was mobile to Seward. I had just married my husband and he already had a job here in Seward and there were no calls available in Lutheran schools. And so I had the opportunity to serve as a Christian teacher in a public school in a nearby town. In hindsight, I can see that having the opportunity to serve as a Christian teacher in a public school really equipped me with perspective that gives me and also gave me an important set of skills that I use all the time as a professor of education here at Concordia. After working in public education for about 8 years or so, I decided to stay home with my kids and had the opportunity to start teaching some courses as an adjunct here at Concordia. And because I had earned my master's in administration a couple years prior, and it was through this work that my plan to stay home for a few years and then return to the 5th grade classroom in a Lutheran school was not the plan that the Lord had in store for me, because I really fell in love with teaching young adults and I recognized the amazing opportunity that I had to influence a wide circle of people by training up the next generation of teachers. And little by little, opportunities just became available to me at Concordia, and a PhD later, here I am able to carry out my role as a Lutheran teacher, bringing up more Lutheran teachers for the church and world. And it truly is just an amazing calling. And I feel really blessed to serve here at Concordia.
So why is it so important for you to build up these Lutheran teachers? Why is Lutheran school education so important for our students?
Having my own children go through Lutheran schools and seeing the impact of Lutheran education on my own life and seeing how my students serve students in schools today. It's just such a foundation for a life of faith. I just love that kids get the opportunity to see what it means to worship and serve and read the Bible and engage in faith in a personal way from such a young age. I think in our world today, our kids need to hear over and over again who they are and, more importantly, who they belong to. And I think our Lutheran schools just do an awesome job of helping them know that their identity is fixed and that they are sons and daughters of God, and having that repeated over and over in multiple subject areas throughout the day and throughout their childhood, I think sets them up for such a foundation of faith to be known and to know that you're loved, redeemed, cherished. All of those things are just essential for life.
What are the ways that you get to play a role in equipping and the formation of the next generation of Lutheran teachers?
I think one of a main role that I play is to just be real and genuine and honest with my students that are walking into that next step. Ministry is messy, and sometimes it's just really important to, and messy and not necessarily bad ways, just messy and unexpected ways. And so I try to model that with my students by digging into those real issues and help them to consider how we can let go of our plans and sometimes be willing and open to seeing how God, can steer us in a different direction. I think another thing when I think about equipping, which maybe sounds kind of funny, our graduates leave our program, but I hope our graduates actually recognize that when they leave Concordia, Nebraska, that they are really at just the beginning of what it means to learn. A career in education is a commitment to lifelong learning. And that's not just in regards to, the students we teach or the pedagogies that we practice, but it's also true and relevant in their faith walk that, we're surrounded by such a vibrant community of faith here on campus, but equipping our next generation of Lutheran teachers is about taking that faith that they've been able to build while here, but continue to build it and continue to strive to learn and grow as they move forward.
What does that formation look like for teacher students at Concordia, Nebraska? What are some of the things that they get to learn as they're learning how to teach others?
Oh, absolutely. So, there's a sequence of courses, of course, that are a part of that faith formation experience and the opportunity to learn to get that Lutheran teaching diploma. But Concordia, Nebraska just has a vibrant opportunity for conversation and application in all of our education classes as we just work together in the understanding of the faith and culture and life issues. We have opportunities for Bible study and connection beyond amazing theology professors and resources on campus to really help our students dig into some of the hard topics that are real and present today.
Speaking of hard topics, what are the challenges that students face today as they're preparing for that service as a Lutheran teacher?
Right. There's always challenges stepping into new things. I think it depends. Some of the challenges are different for different people, of course. I think a lot of our students who, if they're coming home situations where they did not have, they weren't in a family where they had a called worker, understanding the fullness of what it means to be in ministry is a big learning curve for students. Understanding that to be present and connected to families and to the congregation and to give in ways beyond the classroom is definitely a challenge and something that, takes some time to step into. I think, honestly, a conversation I have with students a lot during student teaching and during their first year is just trying to figure out, what I think elementary educators, we're nurturers, we're passionate people. We want to fix things. We want to make things better. But I think understanding kind of where the role of the teacher stops and where we need to spend more time praying and taking things to the Lord or sending families and situations to specialists versus owning it ourselves is a huge challenge for our students as they're just navigating the weight of some of the circumstances, that our students and families are facing in the field.
You'd mentioned one of the challenges for students who are preparing to become Lutheran teachers, if they don't have a church worker in their family, maybe they haven't witnessed what that's like
Right.
from the family perspective. What are the practical experiences that students get that help them understand the life of a Lutheran teacher or life of a Lutheran church worker?
Absolutely. So some of our field experience opportunities give them the opportunity to engage with teachers in the field in our Lutheran schools. And definitely in our student teaching, our students also have the opportunity to engage with teachers in Lutheran schools as that's where they're placed. And that is of huge importance. Gosh, I'm trying to think what other things, other than just, conversation and mentor with people on faculty who are also, called workers and just kind of going back to the beginning, being that real person who's willing to say, yeah, this is hard, or this is an area that I got to dig in.
Mm-hmm. What are some of those areas of faith, of Lutheran theology that you really like to talk about with your students as you're building up these Lutheran teacher students who are going to go on to teach little kiddos about Jesus too?
You bet. There's lots of topics. And when I was thinking about this, a topic that just comes up a lot, a topic that I spend a lot of time talking with students about just in the college setting. These are students who find themselves on the cusp of great change, Real life is just around the corner. And with that comes with a lot of joy and excitement, but also a lot of fear and anxiety, and spending a lot of time in whole class and in mentoring conversations, really helping students shift their focus from self to reliance upon God. Ephesians 3:20 is a verse we talk about a lot. Christ is able to do immeasurably more than all I ask or imagine according to his power at work in me. I love this verse because I think elementary educators, we dream big. We imagine making a difference. We want to touch hearts and lives, and we have big dreams. And I love the promise of God's abundance on top of our earthly wishes and desires. And I love just helping students recognize that, when you put forth effort in a certain place, that doesn't necessarily, God blesses that in ways that we don't even see. And sometimes that over-reliance on self can be such a crippling, we just don't get to, we need to look to God and trust Him so that, His abundance can be evident even when we maybe don't see it. So that's a common conversation that we have. And I guess along with that is just that whole notion of that God often calls before He equips. We spend a lot of time talking about being willing to be bold and to take leaps of faith into places that God's calling them, even when they're not seeing their readiness quite yet.
What are some of the strengths or gifts that one might see in a student, maybe when they're in elementary school, middle school, or even high school, that might be a good indicator they might be a good fit for this vocation? What are the things that the strengths or gifts that we might see, identify, and then encourage that young person to consider Lutheran teacher education?
You bet. Well, and it's there. We definitely believe that calling out those gifts and noticing those things when you are a middle school teacher, an elementary teacher in particular, letting kids know, hey, I see this in you. And so those things could be anything from just an extra compassion for others, or someone who's able to explain something to a peer and they kind of have that light bulb moment and the teacher's like, how did that even happen? I've been trying to explain that. And this kid is able to always find the words that, someone else needs. A kid who's just has a maturity in their faith or their understanding of the Lord. All of those attributes can be attributes that can lead to success. And we have learned, and we really encourage teachers in the field to speak boldly to those younger children about, hey, I think you might make a great teacher, and this is why. Our students that come to Concordia tell us often that one of the reasons they're here is because someone told them they would be a great teacher. And so that's a really powerful thing to remember as we try to recruit more teachers for the field.
We're going to learn more about that experience of being a student, preparing to be a Lutheran teacher in the future in just a moment, right here on the Coffee Hour. I'm Andy Bates.
I'm Sarah Gulseth.
At Concordia University, Wisconsin, we believe you were created for a reason: to use your God-given gifts to help others, to live a life of self-sacrifice in a me-first world, to live a life that's uncommon. Whether you're taking one of 50-plus online programs or learning with us in person on the shores of Lake Michigan, you'll be equipped to make an uncommon impact. Learn more at cune.edu. Concordia University, Wisconsin. Live uncommon.
Welcome back to the Coffee Hour. I'm Andy Bates.
I'm Sarah Gulseth.
Today we're talking with Dr. Shanna Opfer, Associate Professor of Education and the Elementary Education Director at Concordia University Nebraska, and Macy Gebhardt, Elementary Education Student at Concordia University Nebraska. Macy, it's your chance to tell your story of what it's like being a student preparing to be a Lutheran. Before we even dig into what it's like to be a student, what led you to consider this path to the formation of being a Lutheran teacher?
Similar to what Dr. Opfer was saying about how relationships really influence people deciding to become a Lutheran teacher, I was blessed to be able to come from a family of Lutheran educators. My mom, my aunts and uncles, my grandparents are teachers in Lutheran schools, so I've been a part of Lutheran schools in many different ways for a long time. The way they talk about their role as teachers gave me a push in heading that direction. They always spoke about their careers with such a positive light, and they just really explained how they loved getting to share Jesus with people in such a special way. I think my teachers at my own Lutheran school experience helped me in that way too. I went to Grace Lutheran School in Sandy, Utah, and St. John Lutheran School here in Seward for my K-8 education. And there I had different teachers who helped me to think about being a teacher myself. And then in 8th grade, we got this chance to be chapel buddies with the kindergartners. So every week we were partnered with the same kindergartner. And I really loved that consistent opportunity to work with young children. And then I continued that path into high school and worked with several different teachers, aiding in classrooms, things like that. But then I really got a chance to work with our 2nd grade teacher here in Seward at the Lutheran school. And I got to aid in her classroom for a couple hours every day during my senior year of high school. And it was during religion class. And I really got a unique opportunity to see how the faith is taught. And that impacted my want to be a Lutheran teacher. And I got to see it in action.
So you've had a lot of relationships and people along the way who have encouraged you, a lot of great role models, it sounds like, of a really great Lutheran school teachers who have shown you what it means to be this person, this role model in a child's life, to be able to teach them about Jesus while also teaching them all these other subjects that the kids go through in elementary school. What a wonderful story and a path for you. What is that like now that you're at Concordia, Nebraska in the Lutheran Teacher Program? What do you see in your education now that's really helping you become a really successful Lutheran teacher?
I think the primary thing is all of the field experience opportunities. I get to be in a classroom watching teachers teach, helping teachers teach, and getting to be around kids very frequently for many of my classes. And I'm thankful for those opportunities in the classroom. But to supplement that, and the majority of my time, I'm taking classes that are giving me so much information to apply to my teaching, things like educational psychology and background to be able to choose good methods to use in my classroom. And my Lutheran education classes have given me a solid background of Lutheran doctrine and biblical knowledge. But then they take it a step further and teach me how to apply this in the classroom and make it applicable to young children. I really appreciate all of those classes, and I feel like I've gained a lot of knowledge from them. But there are several opportunities to work with people all around the world. And that was another reason why I chose Concordia. And I feel like it's helping me to grow in my future career as a teacher. So I've been able to go on mission trips and build relationships with people who are actively building a church in Puerto Rico. Or when I went to the Dominican and I got to witness the building of the Lutheran church there. I think Concordia does a really great job of giving you a wide variety of experiences to build relationships and to see what they teach, what I am being taught in action. I think that's really going to impact my future career as a teacher.
That's a great picture of what it's like to be a student at Concordia University Nebraska, preparing to be a teacher. How would you describe the relationship between students and professors in the education program at Concordia University Nebraska?
I appreciate the professors in our education department a lot. They are all teachers who have worked in elementary schools, who know what works and what doesn't, and they know what methods that we need to best succeed as teachers, but then it's shown daily how much they care about the students here, whether it's praying in class or talking to you after observing if I'm teaching in a field experience, and they'll come up to me and give real feedback that helps me to grow. But it's just evident how real they are and how much they want to see each student here grow.
What would you say to students who may be thinking about Lutheran teacher education, but might be uncertain if this is the right path for them? What is your advice to those young people thinking about being teachers?
I would say that this path can become a great opportunity to share Jesus' love with so many people. Lutheran teachers get the chance to care for people and help people grow every single day. I just suggest talking to a Lutheran teacher and asking if you can spend a day in their classroom and observe all of the growth you see happening in one day and write it down. I'd encourage them to talk to current Lutheran teachers and their family and friends to see if they would be a good fit for that path. I think there are many things that God makes us to be good at, and there are many opportunities to share his love in whatever career a person chooses. But I think there's something special about Lutheran education. And I know for myself, I'm excited to start this journey.
Macy, where are you in your program and what's the next step for?
I am a junior and I'm in my last semester before student teaching. So I get to start a new semester in a new place, and I'll be able to work with 2 different schools for 8 weeks each, and I'll be able to put all of the things I've learned into practice. And I'm hoping to work with one of our Lutheran international schools for the second half of student teaching and get to see what Lutheran education looks like in a very different part of the world.
That's outstanding. Do you have a subject or a discipline that you enjoy teaching most so far?
I'm elementary education, so I really do appreciate all of the subjects. I think there's something special to be taught in each subject, and I've loved getting to work in many different classrooms, teaching many different subjects. I think that teaching the faith in Lutheran classrooms is what I'm most excited to teach in relation to each subject. I think having the freedom to be able to talk about our great God and what he's made and how he's made us and given us things to explore and to take care of, show us. They really just explain how teachers are so important in the lives of students, and being able to draw those connections to God and to his creation are one of the things I'm really excited to teach to my students.
It looks like sounds like you have a really exciting path ahead of you in the next year or so with student teaching and all of those exciting things. Dr. Opfer, hearing Macy's story about her path to Concordia and all of these things that she's learning and looking forward, what are some of the other successes you've seen with students at Concordia, Nebraska going through this program like Macy has?
Oh, absolutely. And it's just so exciting to hear Macy share her story. And it's so fun to see our graduates across the country and the world doing amazing things. And, we've got grads that are just down the street, and we've got grads around the world. Accolades and successes are many, but, my favorite emails are the celebrations, those small successes in classrooms where, a student is explaining this testament of faith of this 9-year-old, or the fact that their first grader is getting baptized, and that the true, genuine joy and new faith blossoming and blooming is truly an awesome success that we are so excited about and feel so blessed by.
Macy mentioned an interest in an international experience. Is that something that students typically have an opportunity to consider as a Lutheran education student?
Absolutely. So Macy has done an awesome job of really choosing to grow in that area and has really sought those things out. But yes, all students at Concordia have the chance to explore some of the things that she's talked about with the mission trip to Puerto Rico and the Dominican. She kind of sought out in a different way. But yes, we have a lot of opportunities for students here on campus to engage in that way. And international student teaching, now that we're kind of past the COVID situation, is really picking up again. And students are having great opportunities to expand those international settings as well.
What are your favorite things to see as students work through this process and enter into student teaching on their path? What are some of the landmarks that you love to look for in a student's education?
One of the best parts of my job is that I literally get to watch people become teachers before my eyes. I work with students from freshman through senior, so I know them for 4 years, and some come in with a awesome set of skills already, and we're just refining and tweaking, and others, have more of a climb. And it's just so rewarding and exciting to see students like at Macy's stage of development where they are able to speak confidently and they've sought out experiences to equip them. And it's just so exciting to support students in that journey. It looks different for all of them, but watching that consistent success, the goal setting and the striving to reach those goals and seeing them ready to take that step into ministry is exciting.
Our guest today, Dr. Shanna Opfer, Associate Professor of Education and Elementary Education Director at Concordia University Nebraska. Dr. Opfer, thanks so much for being our guest on the Coffee Hour today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
And Macy Gebhardt, Elementary Education Student at Concordia University Nebraska. Macy, thanks so much for spending some time with us on the Coffee Hour.
Thank you.
You can learn more about Set Apart to Serve by visiting lcms.org/SAS. You've been listening to The Coffee Hour. I'm Andy Bates.
I'm Sarah Gulseth.
The Coffee Hour with Andy and Sarah is a production of KFUO. To support The Coffee Hour and KFUO Radio, visit kfuo.org. You can also text KFUO to 41444 or send an email to gifts@kfuo.org. And you can call us at 800-844-0524. KFUO. Christ for you, anytime, anywhere.